You've been told to trust the label. You've been told to look for the words organic, heart, healthy, plant-based, or low fat, and believe that these words mean you're doing something good for your body. But what if I told you that the very foods hiding under those labels are quietly robbing you of the single most powerful hormone you have? Testosterone is not just about muscles, sex drive, or energy. It's the biological foundation of strength, motivation, confidence, and the will to take action in your life. And the food industry has figured out how to package up weakness and sell it to you as health. Let me put this into perspective. Imagine you're an athlete preparing for the biggest competition of your life. You've trained, you've sacrificed, you've disciplined yourself for years. And right before the moment of truth, someone sneaks into your bag and replaces your fuel with poison. You wouldn't even see it coming. You'd step onto the field or into the ring with no strength, no edge, no power. That's exactly what's happening when you put these so-called healthy foods into your body every single day. They are silent castrators. They don't take your power all at once. That would be obvious. Instead, they chip away at it, meal by meal, until one day you wake up and you don't recognize yourself. You might tell yourself you're just tired because you're getting older. You might convince yourself that your lack of motivation is because of stress. You might assume that the extra weight around your belly is just part of aging. But it's not. What's really happening is that your body has been robbed of its life force, and it's not by accident, it's by design. See, the problem isn't that you're weak. The problem isn't that you've failed. The problem is that you've been tricked. You've been convinced that health comes in a package, that if it's in the clean eating section of the grocery store, it must be good for you. But the reality is this: there are foods sitting in your fridge right now, maybe even the ones you're proud of buying, that are slowly dismantling your testosterone levels with every bite. They contain compounds that mimic estrogen, disrupt your hormonal balance, and leave you operating at half your potential. Think about that for a moment. Your drive, your ambition, your fire. It doesn't just disappear with age. It gets stolen. It gets muted by a system that thrives on keeping you complacent, obedient, and too tired to fight back. Because a man or a woman with optimized testosterone is a force of nature. They don't settle. They don't stay quiet. They don't tolerate mediocrity. And if you take that away, what's left? A population that feels powerless, drained, and defeated, yet convinced they're healthy because they bought into the labels. I want you to understand the psychological weight of this. When you eat these foods, you're not just harming your body, you're undermining your identity. Testosterone shapes the way you think, the way you act, the way you respond to challenges. It's the hormone that tells your brain, get up, push harder, take the risk. Defend what matters. So when you allow these silent castrators into your diet, you're not just losing physical strength. You're losing the very voice inside of you that demands growth, courage, and persistence. This isn't a fear-mongering, it's about clarity. Because once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. You'll look at the almond milk in your fridge or the soy protein bar in your pantry, or the vegetable oils in your so-called healthy salad dressing, and you'll realize this isn't fuel, this is sabotage, and you will start to feel a righteous anger because nobody told you the truth. Nobody looked you in the eye and said, stop, this is not helping you, it's destroying you, until now. And here's the philosophical part. Every decision you make about what you put into your body is not just a nutritional choice, it's an existential one. You're choosing, meal by meal, between strength and weakness, between clarity and fog, between power and surrender. That choice is bigger than calories or macros or labels. It's about whether you allow yourself to become the person you're capable of being, or whether you quietly hand over your potential to a system that profits from keeping you small. You've been eating with your eyes closed. Now it's time to wake up. To look at your plate and ask yourself, is this food building me, Or is it breaking me? Is it fueling the man or woman I want to become? Or is it feeding the version of me that settles, accepts, and fades away? Because here's the truth. These foods may look innocent, but they are not neutral. They are weapons. And if you don't stop eating them, they will continue to steal your strength, your fire, your edge, until there's nothing left but regret. So the next time you see a food labeled healthy, I want you to pause. I want you to question. I want you to remember that health is not what's written on the box. It's how your body feels, how your mind operates, how alive you feel in the world. And if something is shrinking that power, no matter how pretty the label looks, it does not belong in your body. The silent castrators only win if you let them. Stop feeding your weakness. Start feeding your strength. When we talk about testosterone, most people immediately think of muscle, libido, maybe even aggression. But that's a shallow view of what this hormone really is. Testosterone is your life force. It's the chemical message inside your body that says, rise up, go after it, don't give up. Without it, you don't just lose physical energy, you lose a piece of who you are. And the foods you've been told are healthy are directly robbing you of that power. I want you to picture something. Imagine you're driving a car, one that's built for speed, precision, and strength. But instead of putting in premium fuel, you've been filling it with watered-down gasoline. At first, it still runs. You can convince yourself that everything is fine, but slowly the engine starts to sputter, the acceleration disappears, and eventually the machine that was designed for greatness is limping along like it was never meant for more than a casual Sunday drive. That's what low testosterone does to your body, your mind, and your life. This isn't just about biology. This is about identity. Testosterone drives your willingness to take risks, your ability to handle pressure, your capacity to recover from setbacks. It fuels your resilience. It sharpens your competitive edge. And here's the shocking part. When your levels drop, you don't just feel weaker. You start believing you are weaker. You start lowering the bar for yourself, convincing yourself that the fire you used to have is gone for good. And once that belief takes root, you become a shadow of the person you were meant to be. That's why this conversation is so critical, because you've been told that declining testosterone is natural, that it's just part of getting older. And while, yes, there is a gradual decline with age, what's happening to millions of people right now isn't natural. It's sabotage. It's the direct result of foods and lifestyle habits that interrupt the very process your body relies on to keep you vital, focused, and powerful. You're not just getting older, you're being robbed. Think about how this plays out in daily life. You wake up, and instead of feeling sharp and motivated, you're sluggish. You go to the gym, and the weights that used to feel challenging now feel impossible. You walk into work, and the confidence you used to carry into every meeting is gone. You start doubting yourself, second, guessing decisions, shrinking back from opportunities. That's not just low energy. That's the silent decay of your life force, stripped away meal by meal, choice by choice, until you don't even realize what's been taken from you. And let's take it deeper. Psychologically, philosophically, when testosterone drops, your body isn't the only thing that suffers. Your mind does, your ambition does. You start questioning whether it's even worth trying anymore. You don't dream as big, you don't push as hard. You start settling for less, not because you're lazy or unmotivated, but because your biology is literally working against you. And that's terrifying. Because if your biology can be hijacked by something as small as what you eat, then your destiny can be hijacked too. But here's the empowering truth. Once you see this, you can take it back. You can choose to stop feeding the foods that drain you and start fueling the foods that support your strength. You can reclaim the fire that makes you unstoppable, because testosterone is not just a number on a blood test. It's the difference between a life where you're surviving and a life where you're thriving. It's the difference between living in hesitation and living in boldness. Now, let's not sugarcoat this. When your testosterone is being stolen, you are being diminished. Your voice becomes quieter. Your presence becomes smaller. Your impact becomes weaker. And the worst part? You start to believe that's who you really are. But it's not. It's a version of you that's been engineered by a system that profits from your weakness. Every time you reach for one of these so-called healthy foods, you have to ask yourself, am I feeding my power or am I feeding my decline? Because the truth is, every bite is a vote. Every bite is you choosing whether to show up as the strong, decisive, ambitious version of yourself, or the tired, doubtful, muted version that the world convinces you is normal. And you deserve to know this. Testosterone is not just about how you look. It's about how you live. It's about the choices you're able to make, the risks you're willing to take, the resilience you bring when life throws challenges your way. Without it, you don't just lose muscle, you lose yourself. So when I say these foods are robbing you, I don't mean it lightly. They are robbing you of clarity. They are robbing you of courage. They are robbing you of the inner voice that says, yes, I can. And if you let that robbery continue, you wake up one day and realize that the life you're living is not the life you wanted. It's the life that was left over after your strength was drained away. Here's the bottom line. Testosterone is your life force, and it's too valuable to surrender. Stop giving away the fire that makes you unstoppable. Stop letting your biology be dictated by a food label. Start reclaiming the strength that belongs to you, because if you don't protect it, nobody else will. It's easy to blame junk food for the way we feel. We all know that sodas, fried food, candy, and fast food meals aren't good for us. That's obvious. But here's what most people miss. The foods marketed as healthy can actually be far more dangerous, because at least with junk food, you know what you're getting. You know when you're biting into a burger loaded with grease and sugar that it's not fueling your health. But when you reach for something labeled clean, organic, or heart healthy, you let your guard down. And that's when the real damage begins. It's not the obvious poisons that are stealing your testosterone. It's the ones hiding under the mask of wellness. And that's why fake health foods are worse than junk. They don't just weaken your body, they manipulate your mind. They convince you you're making the right choice while silently dismantling your strength. This is psychological warfare disguised as nutrition, because think about it. How many times have you picked up something like a protein bar, almond milk, or a salad dressing that boasts about omega-3s or antioxidants and you felt good about yourself? You felt like you were investing in your health. And that's exactly the trap. These foods often carry hidden ingredients, soy proteins, vegetable oils, chemical additives that disrupt your hormones. They don't just rob you physically. They rob you of the satisfaction of truly taking care of yourself. That false sense of security is what makes them so dangerous. And here's where it gets deeper. When you put trust into a system that betrays you, it does more than hurt your body. It shatters your confidence in your own judgment. It makes you second. Guess every decision you make. You start to wonder, if I can't even eat right, what else am I messing up? That's why people spiral into diets, fads, quick fixes. They're searching for answers in the very system that deceived them in the first place. And let's be brutally honest. The food industry thrives on confusion. They rely on you not knowing the difference between real health and fake health. They put words like natural and low fat on packages because they know it triggers a psychological response. You feel responsible, you feel proud, and you don't question it. But your biology doesn't care about labels. It only responds to what's actually inside. And what's inside most of these fake health foods are compounds that mimic estrogen, suppress testosterone, and leave you weaker in every sense of the word. Philosophically, this is about deception. There's something profoundly dangerous about being tricked into believing you're protecting your body when you're actually destroying it. It's one thing to knowingly indulge in a piece of cake or a slice of pizza. You've made a choice. But it's another thing entirely to drink your morning soy latte or pour heart-healthy oil on your salad and not realize you're choosing weakness. That betrayal cuts deeper because it's not just physical, it's psychological, it's existential. And let's talk about why this matters beyond the body. When you unknowingly eat foods that strip away your life force, you're not just damaging your hormones. You're participating in a pattern of self-sabotage you didn't even choose. You're being nudged into a smaller life, one where you're too tired to chase opportunities, too unfocused to follow through, too unmotivated to fight for your dreams. And all of it happens while you think you're doing the right thing. That's why fake health foods are worse than junk food. Junk food is a wolf in wolf's clothing. You see it for what it is. Fake health foods are wolves dressed as sheep. They sneak in, they earn your trust, and then they quietly drain your power while you thank them for it. That's not just food, that's manipulation. So how do you stop it? You start by questioning everything. Just because a product sits on a shelf in the healthy aisle doesn't mean it belongs in your body. Just because a celebrity or influencer promotes, it doesn't mean it's safe. You need to strip away the noise and return to a simple truth. Real health doesn't need fancy packaging. Real fuel doesn't need to be engineered in a lab. If a food is processed, if it's loaded with chemicals you can't pronounce, if it's been marketed more heavily than it's been grown, chances are it's not serving your body. It's serving someone else's profits. And here's the real challenge. Every time you pick up a food that claims to be healthy, ask yourself, is this building my strength or is it breaking it? Am I eating for real vitality or am I swallowing a lie? Because the line between the two is the line between power and weakness, between living at your potential and sleepwalking through your days. You've been manipulated long enough. The truth is, fake health foods are not neutral. They're predators, and the only way they win is if you keep trusting them. Stop being fooled by the mask. See it for what it is. Because once you do, you'll never let someone sell you weakness disguised as health again. Would you like me to expand key point 4 into the final 750-word segment so the speech ends with maximum impact and motivational force? The truth is, every bite you take is either building you or breaking you. There's no neutral, and when it comes to these so-called healthy foods that are secretly shrinking your testosterone, you're faced with a decision that is both simple and brutal. Stop now, or pay the price for the rest of your life. I want you to really think about this. Most people live as though their health is negotiable, as if they can cheat the system for a while and deal with the consequences later. But biology doesn't work that way. Your body doesn't care about your excuses, your busyness, or your intentions. It only responds to what you feed it and how you treat it. And when you consistently put in foods that sabotage your hormones, the bill always comes due. It may not come tomorrow, but it will come. And when it does, it doesn't just cost you energy. It costs you your edge, your drive, your masculinity, your very sense of self. That's the real danger here. It's not just that your muscles get weaker, or your waistline expands, or your libido drops. It's that you lose the essence of what makes you feel alive. You lose the ambition that pushes you out of bed in the morning. You lose the grit that keeps you fighting when life gets hard. You lose the confidence that makes you walk into a room and own it. Without testosterone, life doesn't just feel slower, it feels smaller. And once you shrink into that smaller version of yourself, it becomes harder and harder to climb out. Here's the thing most people don't want to admit. Weakness is a choice. And in this case, it's a choice you make every time you put these foods into your body. It doesn't matter if they're marketed as healthy. It doesn't matter if everyone else is eating them. Once you know the truth, continuing to eat them is choosing weakness. And the moment you choose weakness, you are deciding to live below your potential. Now, that might sound harsh, but let's face it. Sometimes the truth has to be, because we live in a culture that loves comfort, that loves excuses, that loves to tell you it's okay to settle. But you don't need another excuse. You don't need another comforting lie. You need the raw truth. These foods are shrinking the very hormone that makes you powerful, and the only way to stop it is to stop eating them. And let's go even deeper here. This isn't just a biological decision. It's a philosophical one. When you stop putting these foods into your body, you're not just protecting your testosterone. You're making a declaration. You're saying, I will no longer participate in my own destruction. I will no longer hand over my strength to convenience, to marketing, or to habit. That's what this is really about. It's not just food, it's identity. It's about deciding who you want to be and whether the life you're building is worthy of the strength you were born to carry. Because let's be honest, life is hard. You're going to face setbacks, challenges, disappointments. And in those moments, you will either have the internal fire to fight back or you won't. And that fire is directly connected to how you treat your body, how you protect your hormones, how you fuel your mind. If you keep putting weakness on your plate, you'll show up to life weak. But if you put strength on your plate, if you protect your testosterone like your life depends on it, because it does, you'll show up with a level of resilience and clarity that most people never experience. So here's the choice. Keep eating the foods that strip you of your edge, or cut them out and reclaim the fire that makes you unstoppable. No one else can make that choice for you. No one else lives in your body. No one else pays the price for your decisions. It's all on you. And that's not something to fear. It's something to embrace, because the same power that got you into this situation is the same power that can get you out. You created the problem by what you've been putting into your body. And you can create the solution by what you choose to stop putting in. This is the line in the sand. Once you know the truth, you can't unknow it. You either step up and protect your life force, or you keep living in denial while your strength slowly slips away. And I'll leave you with this. Every single time you eat, you're casting a vote. You're voting for the stronger version of yourself or the weaker one. You're voting for vitality or decline. You're voting for a life of power or a life of regret. The food doesn't lie, the results don't lie, and neither does your body. So the next time you reach for that food with the shiny healthy label, ask yourself, is this helping me rise, or is this helping me shrink? Because your future is built bite by bite. Choose strength, choose life, choose now.